Apologies for the huge delay between tier list videos. I went on holiday for a month, and then when I got back, I got very ill. But I'm feeling better now, so let's discuss and rank the deaths in Final Destination 3. So Final Destination 3 begins with our main group of characters at a carnival to celebrate their upcoming graduation. Our main characters immediately start speedrunning the foreshadowing dialogue run any percent with like 6 cliches right off the bat. That's impressive. Seriously, 100% of their dialogue so far is just variations of, "Oh man, if I don't get to this ride, it's gonna kill me. Oh, come on, we can have some food. That's not gonna kill you. If we miss the ride, it's gonna kill me. Ho ho, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger." This dialogue is killing me, I'll tell you that. Once they sit down to have some food, Kevin takes an upskirt photo of this poor girl that just happens to be walking by. Kevin's girlfriend Carrie tells protagonist Wendy that she's planning on breaking up with Kevin after graduation, and for some reason Wendy looks surprised by this, and like, you fucking serious, dude? Did you not see what he just did? I'm surprised she didn't break up with him there. On the way to the roller coaster, we meet our future survivors of the film's opening incident. Ashley and Ashlyn win this giant palm tree that's gonna be out of place wherever you put it in your house. Lewis is absolutely crushing it on the strength tester machine. And Frankie is being our film's second sexual predator.
You guys are smoking hot.
We also meet goth couple Erin and Ian, who looks a lot like an emo version of Jerma.
You know, I heard this is the scariest ride at the park. Yeah. I'm not scared though, are you scared? Yeah, I bet you are.
They all board the roller coaster where Carrie and protagonist Wendy's boyfriend Jason sit at the front of the roller coaster and protagonist Wendy and Kevin sit at the back. The roller coaster takes off and shenanigans ensue. People get thrown onto the track, thrown into the track, fall onto the track. I'll talk about this more in depth in a premonition-specific tier list video.
Whee!
We then come back to protagonist Wendy where she envisioned the entire thing and, understandably, decides to freak out. The roller coaster operators, for some reason, only let the back half of the passengers off and they send Jason and Carrie on their way. We hear the roller coaster falling apart and screams in the distance as everyone on the roller coaster dies off screen. Not that I really wanted to see these characters die again, but I always hate an off-screen death, so I'm putting it in E tier just because I really don't like when it all happens off-screen. We already saw it, but even when it does happen, you still don't really see it. They're kind of like, well, okay, they died. So, E tier. Protagonist Wendy is feeling some serious survivor guilt over the death of her boyfriend and best friend. So Kevin decides it's a really good idea to tell her that now, thanks to her, they're all in a Final Destination movie. This is my favorite part of these movies where characters will just have a conversation about the fact that now they're in a Final Destination movie. They're like, oh, I did some research before. I was on the IMDb page of Final Destination 1. That sounds pretty similar to what's happening now. It's kind of your fault. Ashley and Ashlyn go to the tanning salon for our first proper deaths of the movie. The owner, Yuri, not Yowie, that's a very niche reference, I wonder if anyone's gonna get that, goes outside to take a phone call and uses a tube of sunscreen as a doorstop. Yeah, that'll work. Ashley and Ashlyn are deciding what CD to listen to, pulling the shelf off the wall in the process. Meanwhile, the world's heaviest door is slowly closing on the sunscreen bottle, making it come, and it finally clicks shut, locking Yuri outside. While Ashley and Ashlyn are tanning, we get some classic Final Destination spooky water to start dripping on the control panel. The spooky water starts turning up the temperature in the tanning beds and turns on a vent which starts blowing on a nearby coat rack. The vent then blows over the coat rack, which lands on the shelf, which then lands in between the handles of the tanning beds, trapping Ashlyn and Ashley inside. The temperature of the beds keeps rising to the point of the glass shattering, the inside of it melting, and even the skin of the characters begins to bubble. The beds then ignite and burn them alive. Jesus! Overall, it's a really tense and well-acted scene, and the skin just bubbling really grosses me out every time I watch it. In hindsight though, you could just move the beam over to one side, get out, pull the beam out of their side and then help them out, but I understand them not thinking to do that in the heat of the moment. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I'll put this one in B tier. It's pretty iconic in my opinion, and the effects, with the exception of some, still look really good today. Like the burning effect and like the melting still holds up in my opinion. It's just there's one shot in particular where she's like trying to crawl out and she's on fire. I think CGI fire in that era hadn't really looked good, and it still looks very dated today, but it's really interesting. Like, the premise itself is really interesting, so I'll chuck it in B tier. At their funeral, the priest is giving a speech about how in death's eyes, everyone is equal, and if you've seen these movies, you know that that is clearly bullshit. Like, Billy's death in Final Destination 1 didn't feel a thing. Ashley and Ashlyn's death in this movie, probably the most painful and drawn out death of the franchise so far. So, I'm sorry Mr. Priestman, but you're fucking wrong. Emo Jerma points this out to the priest, stating,
Never done shit to anybody. They don't get to make it to 18.
I'm sorry, what?
They don't get to make it to 18.
Huh. So that means during this scene, the characters were under 18. Moving on, protagonist Wendy pulls Kevin aside to tell him that now she believes they're in a Final Destination movie, with her proof being a photograph of Abraham Lincoln with a crack in the top of it. Just out of curiosity, I googled Abraham Lincoln's assassination and I found these two paintings, which I found quite funny. In this one, he's being shot in the head and he's like, ugh, you see what I gotta fucking deal with over here? And in this one, John Wilkes Booth is running away like, haha, goodbye, and Abraham Lincoln's like, oh, I'm having the worst day right now. Like, he just seems so annoyed about the whole situation. Talking about Abraham Lincoln and 9/11 get them hungry, so they decide to go to the local Hungry Jack's. They're about to order 5 Whoppers and 5 more Whoppers, but a wild truck has gotten loose. They manage to escape through the windshield just as the truck slams into the back of the car, which launches the engine from under the hood all the way across the track and crushes Samantha to death. Wait, that's not right. The truck slams into the back of the car, which launches the engine from under the hood straight into the back of Frankie's head. Holy shit! It's a very cool kill, and the mix of practical effects and CG is just insane in the way they did it. They basically filmed multiple shots of the fan propeller going, one of it just on its own, the other one of it going into the back of like a mold of the actor's head, and then just a green screen of the actor reacting to it. They just smushed all that together. Looks really cool. So I'll put this one in A tier. I really like how it was done and just how it looks and the concept of it all. It looks really cool. I think just the camera cuts really take away from it. I think if it was shot a lot better, probably would be an S tier, but for the moment, it's in A. Protagonists Wendy and Kevin decide to work off the Hungry Jacks they just ate, and they bump into Lewis at the gym. He's very off-putting for them though, with his obnoxious lack of gym etiquette, so they decide not to spot him. Which is unfortunate for him, because if they were spotting for him, they would have seen that these real swords hanging on the wall fell and cut the wires to his gym equipment. He goes for one final rep, which causes the weights to swing down and crush his fucking head in. Now, I'm no gym expert, clearly, but why are the weights set up at perfect head-crushing height? The death itself is kind of cool, but it starts to fall apart when you think about it too much. Like, why are the weights able to squish your head? Why is the only thing supporting them these 2 wires? Why does the school have real swords on the wall? And how old is this school student? His face also gets obscured by this CGI blood splatter that just covers all of it, and I love that so much. I am so glad that they made a real-life sculpture to squish of his head just so they could hide it all with CGI. This one will go in C tier just because of how little sense all of it makes, and just because of how it looks in the final product with the CGI blood covering all of it and you don't really see it, so I really don't like that, so C tier. After having 2 of their fellow high schoolers' brains splattered all over them in the same day, protagonists Wendy and Kevin are like, oh man, we are nailing this, let's go tell Erin and Jerma they're gonna die too. At night time, they decide to go to Bunnings, where Jerma is using pigeons as target practice.
You missed that one. Try another.
Protagonists Wendy and Kevin show Erin and Jerma the photos that she took at the carnival, but they're not buying her story. In the background, however, some tubes of silicone have fallen off the shelf and landed on the forklift, making it drive into shit, even though the forklift keys would probably not have been left in the ignition. Protagonist Wendy spots some wooden pickets that are about to fall on Jerma, so she pushes him out of the way, saving his life. Debris from the pickets go flying everywhere and bursts a bag covered in sawdust, which causes Erin to fall backwards into a nail gun. Holy shit! It fires rapidly into the back of her head, which pierces through her face and her hand in a disgusting looking effect.
Erin!
Yeah.
Erin!
This was the only death I knew about this movie before seeing it, and it still makes me squeamish watching it today. So I'm gonna put this one in S tier. It's such a good looking effect and it doesn't get ruined by CGI or anything like that. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the forklift getting possessed in the background, like the keys being in the ignition and having it running. Bullshit, I don't buy any of that, but the isolated death itself is just insane and that alone is S tier. After seeing her third death of the day, protagonist Wendy decides to search through her photos for more clues. She then recognises that the person sitting behind Erin and Jerma is her sister, so she is next to die. And this is something I find really weird because that means that protagonist Wendy's sister, Julie, was sitting in front of her the entire time and it's like a mystery of who's sitting between them for the whole movie. Who are these mystery people that were sitting between Erin and Jerma and Wendy and Kevin? And it was her own sister. So that means when protagonist Wendy was having a panic attack and she's like, I've just had a vision, the roller coaster's gonna crash, everyone's gonna die, you have to get everyone off right now, we're all gonna fucking die. Does she not want to check on her own sister? Or at some point in the future be like, hey, that panic attack you had before, I was actually on the roller coaster and you saved my life. Like, if you were on the roller coaster and the person behind you is freaking out, you'd be like, come on, dude, what are you doing? And if it's your own sister, you'd be like, hey, dude, you alright? You wouldn't be like, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna go play the other games. Anyway, protagonist Wendy goes to another carnival because that's where her sister Julie is gonna be, and more shenanigans ensue. Julie almost dies by a horse dragging her by the neck, but Kevin saves her life just at the last second. They then question Julie about who is sitting next to her on the ride. And then this character, who hasn't had a single line of dialogue, stands up and acts shocked, and before we can even ask, who the fuck's this? She's stabbed through the back by a flagpole. Right off the bat, I'm just gonna put this one in D tier. She's such a nothing character, and the death is very much just like, boom, she's dead, moving on. So even the movie doesn't really care about her. Apparently this character's name is Perry, and you wouldn't know that just from watching the movie. None of the characters are like, oh, hello, it's Perry, my favourite platypus. After Perry's death, Emo Jerma shows up to taunt Wendy because he blames her for Erin's death. A trailer full of fireworks tips over and starts firing at all of our main characters, but somehow misses everyone. Emo Jerma is confident in saying that he is no longer on death's list, and it's actually protagonist Wendy who's going to die. The sign behind him has other plans as it falls down and squishes him to death in a very cool mix of practical and CG effects.
He's fucking dead.
For me, this one just goes straight in A tier. I love his overconfidence and he's like, no Wendy, you're gonna die. And then the sign behind him's like, about that, and it just like squishes him.
Little man got squished.
Also, I know I've hammered on a lot about the mix of practical and CG in this tier list, but that's just how I think it should be done. I don't think CGI should just be used for everything. I think it should be like a last resort if you can't use practical. And yeah, especially in Final Destination 2 as well, I love how they use so much CGI as like an addition to the practical effects. It was like mostly green screen, it wasn't like full CG bodies and stuff like that. So I absolutely love how they're using CGI with practical effects and it's like enhancing it. That's how I think it should be done, especially with this one where it's like a full green screen or like a half green screen bodysuit and they just kind of like slide him and then his guts and stuff is CG, or it's like on a green screen from another take. I don't know like exactly how it was done, but it looks really effective in the final shot. So, and also just like the little detail of him like twitching, sticking the finger up, that's just also like a really gruesome detail that I really appreciate. So A tier, I don't know what would make it better if it was in an S tier, but I'm confident in putting it in A tier. We jump forward 5 months where protagonist Wendy is hanging out with some new friends she made off screen during the time skip. A nearby mouse is just minding its own business chewing on a chocolate bar where it gets electrocuted. And I'm putting that all the way in S tier, baby. It had the perfect amount of foreshadowing and the perfect conclusion to its character arc. Best death in the franchise. She bumps into her sister Julie and Kevin and remembers that she's still in a Final Destination movie, so some people are gonna die right now. And more shenanigans ensue as Julie is splattered by a flying wheel and Kevin is shredded up against the wall and the train. Oh my god, what the fuck? After the train gets derailed, protagonist Wendy is stuck on the train tracks because her leg is broken. A new train comes screeching around the corner, but before it can hit her, it's revealed that that was another premonition. But then it's implied that that all happens anyway, as the characters freak out and try and get off the train as the screen cuts to black and we hear the sound of the train crashing anyway. So why bother with the premonition fake out? I'm just gonna believe that that's how it happens anyway, so I'm gonna put that whole series of events in A tier. It's quite hard to tell what's happening because of the constant like flashing strobe lights, so I'm gonna try and edit that out as best as I can in the video. But I think a lot of the heavy lifting is done by Kevin's death, where he just gets shredded up against the wall and just like the blood spurting everywhere. It's a bit fucked up, and I really like the effect of the train like coming around the corner to get Wendy, and I really like the POV as it's like coming closer to the camera. I really like that. So those two deaths alone are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Julia's death is fine, but it's very like, boom, she died. So it's like, oh, okay, was that Julia? I don't know. The strobing is really hard to tell who these characters are, but I think that whole series of events is an A, but it's like a back A. It's definitely not as good as Ian's death, I feel. So, there we have it. This is the Final Destination tier list. I realized that every time I pointed to the tier list, I was pointing this way, but this is where the tier list is, so I have no idea how I'm going to fix that in the edit, but hey, this is our Final Destination tier list for Final Destination 3. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sorry that this video took so long to get to you. Yeah, like I said before at the start of the video, I went on holiday for about a month, and then when I got back, I was working on this video, doing the script writing for all of it, and then I got like very, very ill, so I wasn't able to work on the video as much. I like pretty much did the script. Actually, I didn't even finish the script. I wasn't even in the headspace to write the script or really work on it at all, so yeah. I mean, I'm feeling better now, evident by the fact that I'm making this video, so hopefully this video gets out to you quickly, and hopefully the future tier lists also don't take as long as this one did, but I'm really excited to work on them again. It's really fun to get back into making these tier list videos, so hope you enjoy them as well, and I'm definitely going to do one for Final Destination Bloodlines. I think between me doing the Final Destination 2 one, where the movie came out in cinemas, and then this one, I feel like it's come out like on DVD, so there's not really an excuse for not getting it done, so I'm excited to work on that one again, and I haven't seen the movie like since I saw it when it came out, so it'd be really interesting to revisit it again. That's pretty much it. So, hope you enjoyed the tier list video. Again, sorry it took so long to get out, but hopefully the future ones don't take as long. So, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.